Hello, I'm Reverend Kate from the Center for Spiritual Living in Carlsbad, California. The title of my talk today is Mind the Baby. And of course, it is right after Christmas. And so I'm sure, or I imagine, that you might have been celebrating the holiday. And after a holiday, there can be a little bit of a feeling of letdown. What's next? Clean up the dishes. Or if you were alone this holiday, you might even be feeling like, that wasn't my best holiday ever. But there's always today. There's always tomorrow. And that's the truth. Today is the perfect day in which to rejoice. So, mind the baby is just a saying that we have. And I think it's perfect for right now, whether you think of Christmas as a very literal holiday. I kind of do. I like to celebrate the birth of Christ. And it is a time to celebrate for me the date on which, well, maybe not the exact date, but the date when everyone has agreed we would celebrate Christ's birthday. And this is a picture of the Polish Black Madonna, and it's very, it's kind of somber. If you look at it long enough, you couldn't see that maybe she is feeling very um, holy, right? That's what the atmosphere of this painting is. Is it like maybe she's foreshadowing what's going to come, or just feeling so serene? Hard to tell. This is the sort of traditional painting that we often see in our Western culture. I liked it in particular because the little baby Jesus isn't paying any attention at all to his mom. He's off looking at a little plant or a little flower, so intent, like real babies are, in exploring the world. And of course, then I was looking for photos and I found this one, which is Madonna in a mask. Very appropriate for today, bringing the story of Jesus, the story of parenthood, really, the story of birth, right into our present day. And then after that, I found this picture, which was like, oh, this is like real life. Here's the baby. What next? What do you do? So it's not that common right now for moms to be dangling cigarettes and dangling babies, but I know that was the case for me and my mom. She was quite a smoker, and so I laughed when I saw it. But here's a picture I really liked. Having been a mother, even though I was an adoptive mother, so I wasn't as physically exhausted perhaps as other new mothers might be. But I love this picture because it just reminded me of the idea that we're never really alone. So it's simply a picture of the mother taking a break and the father taking over care of the child. There's that saying, it takes a village, it takes a family, it takes a network, it takes a community. And that is so true. So I thought that was the perfect follow-up picture for right after Christmas. What next? How are we going to mind the baby? Now, I said at the beginning that I tend to take the story of Christmas pretty literally, but I know a lot of people, particularly in our New Thought teaching, take the story of Christmas a little more metaphorically. And I also believe that this is true. You see, whenever you talk about just the concept of birth, It's very similar to any story about beginnings. And one of the things that we teach and that we know is that at every moment we are embarked upon a new beginning. Life is an adventure. Looking at an infant, we see and we experience the idea of life as being an adventure. And if you have had the joy of being around small children lately, and they're not always 100% joy, right? There's a lot of work that goes into minding the baby, but there is an element of just curiosity and a feeling of exuberance that just seems to permeate every moment. Whatever they're doing, they're looking around, they're snuggling, they're finding out about life in a very, very natural way. And so that was the other idea that I wanted to bring up today with this idea of minding the baby. So if you're lucky enough to have a real baby to mind, yes, mind the baby. But for the rest of us, there is that same idea that we need to mind what's next, what's important. And I think that the Christmas holiday is really a day that encourages us all to just stop for a moment and take stock of what is really important to us. And I know in other traditions, there are other holidays that are like that, where you just stop and you take a look at what actually has meaning in your life. What actually do you care about in your life? What brings you joy? What purpose do you feel? What drives you? What impels you forward? So I would like to propose that in this time, this space, think of it as the space between Christmas and New Year's, which you could also think about the time between thinking or experiencing something new, perhaps just a new idea, and then January, where you put it all into action. It's almost like a dream time when this idea of novelty can actually begin to take shape in our minds. I liked this picture, Australian Aboriginal art. I felt that it was really representative, at least for me, of this dream time when all kinds of life, all kinds of thoughts, all kinds of dreams are beginning to emerge. And so in this painting, it shows, well, I can't say what the artist had in mind, but for me, it's the idea of the divinity of wonderful expansion and creation. And I could see the little turtle animals just swarming out into the world. And to me, when I saw it, it was like, oh, this is like when I settle down and I get quiet and I begin to think and to dream. Now, a lot of our dreams are obviously taking place when we're asleep. And you may not be aware of what you dream when you sleep. Well, there are many people who suggest that when you wake up a little bit in the night, that you immediately write down your dreams. Even if they're little tiny bits of your dreams later during the daytime, you can perhaps get some insight from what's going on. And a lot of people say, dreams are a time when we're sleeping and we're dreaming. It's a time when we can consolidate our experiences. And I know, some people believe that it's while they're sleeping that children are actually growing. And I believe that you could say it's while we're sleeping that our psyches are also relaxing and you could say growing, or you could say advancing, or becoming in a way more balanced and calm and ready to move forward. Don't you feel after a good night's sleep, don't you feel refreshed and ready to take on the world with a sense of adventure? So I know that's how I feel, and lots of times I don't sleep so well, and so I really can say there is a difference between a good night's sleep and a not so good night's sleep. But the great thing is you always get another chance. I love life. Life is a constant series of second chances, third chances, fourth chances, fifth chances, on, and every single time you get to make a new decision about what it is you would like to see in your life, in your day, in your relationships. Like the little turtles in this picture going forth, new experiences come forth in our lives. I thought I would just show, since I'm talking about dreams, a lot of us are very familiar with the Native American Dreamcatcher, which are said to symbolize the idea that the air may be filled with both good and bad dreams, but that the good dreams are able to pass through this dream catcher to the sleeping person, while the bad dreams are trapped in the web where they perish in the light of dawn. Now, you may not think that's the literal truth, but I think that you can relate to the idea that there are many thoughts possible. We teach that there is an infinite possibility of thoughts, as well as, or even more than, an infinite possibility of things that are actually going to happen. But each one of us is at choice. So in a way, our minds, our consciousnesses, our souls act a little bit like this idea of the dream catcher. So many ideas, so many experiences, so much good advice and bad advice, so many impressions flowing into our lives. We get to be conscious and decide what part of this we want to adopt as our own. So during a day, you may hear 1,000 things. You may think 1,000 things. You may read. You may listen to the radio, watch TV, talk to your friends on the phone, go out to a restaurant where you hear all kinds of things. But you get to decide which ones you want to keep, which ones you want to make your own. You decide. This is your dream time or your decision time in which you become aware. You get to discern what is best for you, and you get to choose. And that's what I think about this time between Christmas, and I'm sure, perhaps you had a lot of things that you had to do before Christmas, maybe just writing cards, or maybe that's something you still want to do. Happy New Year's cards are great too. Just reaching out, saying hello to a few people is a nice thing to do. Or if you have some other type of sharing that you'd like to do, a lot of people get their checkbooks out between Christmas and New Year's and make donations or gifts to things that they believe in. So why not make a gift to yourself? Why not make a gift to yourself by supporting your own dreams? I love this picture by Vincent van Gogh. It just is something that strikes me as reflecting life and having the promise of both thinking about the past and imagining what could be in the future. It's just, for me, a picture that makes me feel aware of the moment. And that's what we really teach and know. We live in a moment of time that we call now. And it's actually the only moment in which we can live. So we look at the past and we like looking at our surroundings. And we imagine the future in our daydreams, with our hopes and our wishes. But this is the moment in which we live. This is the moment in which we're constantly making new decisions, and we can make them consciously. Or if we don't make them consciously, trust me, they're still being made. It's just the decision of just, floating along and letting things be. Just going along and allowing yourself to drift. And there's nothing wrong with drifting if you choose to drift. It can be a wonderful experience to just take some time for yourself, not do anything consciously, but just watch, just experience. But the thing I want to suggest is, if that's what you'd like to do it wholeheartedly, consciously. Pay attention. Immerse yourself in life. Immerse yourself in moving forward towards your dreams. But most of all, be happy now. Be kind now. Be filled with joy now. Reach out to others now and take care of yourself now. Now is the perfect time to allow yourself to think about your possibilities, to sort out what you really want from what you think you ought to want. And then when January comes around, you'll hit the ground running. And in January, we will work on visualization and some techniques for that. But right now, I just would love to have you take some time for yourself. take some time to think about your dreams. Mind the baby. You're the perfect child of spirit. Mind yourself. Take care of yourself. Life is good. And I know that this year, this day, this minute, new and wonderful experiences of beauty, joy, and good are yours. I know this has been a really difficult year, or really a really difficult 2 years for everyone, and for some people so much harder. I heard a nurse on the radio, and the interviewer was asking her, how did she get through her work that was so difficult? And she said, well, I just remind myself that hard things have happened to humans throughout all history, and yet we go on, and there's always the opportunity to notice beauty, to see wonder and good around us, and that's what keeps her going. I just loved it, and that's my wish for you. My wish for you is to see the beauty, notice the good, and know that there is good always. And it's almost like a beacon. If you follow your good, you're going to be headed down the perfect path. So, in closing, may peacefulness and joy be more than dreams to you. May they guide your heart, guide your spirit in everything you do. This is the perfect moment to recognize that you are the beautiful, beautiful child of spirit, that you deserve care and nurturing, and that your life is bright with possibilities. In our center for many years now, every week we have repeated a little saying, and I would like to share that with you. God is all, both visible and invisible, one presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect love and perfect abundance. I am an individualized expression of God. I am ever one with His perfect life, perfect love, and perfect abundance. And so it is.